Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Ant Marino podcast. I'm your host, Ant Marino, and today on the podcast I have a gentleman by the name of Carlo Cirillo. And before I get into the episode and what the episode is about, I would love to share an offering that I have for you guys. And that offering is a free 21-day Taking Inspired Action Challenge. So this challenge is a free offering where I just want to give back to my community. I want to give back to my podcast listeners, to my Instagram followers, all that kind of thing, and just help them with their life and to gain clarity on what they really want, to overcome the resistance that is stopping them from taking the necessary steps to get closer to where they want to go in life, and also help them take inspired action. And this is a beautiful opportunity for you guys to receive free support and accountability from me. So basically, the way that it's going to run is there's going to be an opportunity for you guys to ask questions, and then I'm going to answer them on Facebook Lives. And the details are it starts on November 4th at 9:30 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So if you are in other parts of Australia, you'll have to change the time zone. And also if you're anywhere else in the world, which I hope there's some people around the world watching this and keen to join the Inspired Action Challenge, you guys will also have to convert the time. So this is just a really good opportunity for you guys to get super clear and help you take that inspired action on the things that you want to do and the things that you want to bring into your life. And then, have that support and that accountability from me. And if you want to join the challenge, the link is in the show notes or in the description box if you're watching this on YouTube. And also, I'm giving away a free spot in my mindset and momentum mastermind, which is valued at over $1,000. So if you join the challenge, the free challenge, and you do all the requirements that need to be done to be in the draw for the giveaway, you have a chance to win that free spot in my mastermind valued at $1,000. All right. So that's all about the offering, and I look forward to seeing you in the group. But the podcast with Carlo. So Carlo is a mindset mentor. He is owner and founder of SALA Wellness, which is an app, and he runs group coaching programs and one-on-one coaching programs, and also does in-person events through SALA. So basically, SALA Wellness is an app for your phone, and inside that there is meditations and breath work and all different modalities where you can have that in your pocket, readily accessible, so you don't have to go to an event to get some meditation or go to a workshop to do some workshop stuff or, breath work at another event like that. So, but also in SALA is in-person live events. So there is that option as well, which creates community and connection, which is what you don't get through the phone. So, such awesome experience. Can't speak. I just went to one a couple of weeks ago. Carlo invited me along to one of the events up here in the Gold Coast. And it was such a beautiful day. We did yoga and meditation and breath work, and we really connected with the people in the group. It was beautiful. Met some amazing new people, some new friends, and had some big shifts also inside of my mindset. So, beautiful stuff. If you want to check them out, everything will be in the show notes or the description box, wherever you're watching or listening to this. And a bit more about the episode. So basically, we talk about SALA, how he founded it. We talked about his story. He shared how he was a soccer player and how he stopped doing that and then got into network marketing, and then also now into the mindset coaching or mentoring. And also we spoke about creating confidence and finding clarity in life, because a lot of us, a lot of people, a lot of us, I'm going to say us because I used to be this as well, we struggle with knowing what we want. We know like what we don't want, but we don't know what we do want. So he talks about how we can find that clarity and also build confidence with going after what we want to go after. Kind of what I'm teaching in my 21-day challenge. So yeah, and then we finish off the podcast by talking about asking better questions. So he explains if you ask better questions, you will get better answers, which will get you closer to where you want to go faster. And we basically closed out the episode saying that. And it was a super fun interview. It's probably the shortest podcast I've done because he had to go to the airport and catch a plane back down to Melbourne because he lives in Melbourne. But yeah, it was super fun, super awesome to connect with Carlo. And guys, I hope you enjoy the episode. And again, if you want to join my 21-day Inspired Action Challenge, which starts November the 4th, 9:30 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, which I'm going live in that group every single day. The link is in the show notes or the description box, and I look forward to seeing you in there. So yeah, enjoy the episode. Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Ant Marino podcast. Today I have Carlo Cirillo on the podcast. Right. Yeah. I was going to go Carlo Cirillo just to be funny, and then I didn't. So Carlo Cirillo. Carlo and I have been kind of Instagram friends for a couple of years now. If you guys had listened to a podcast with Lockie Stewart, and at the end of that, he recommended that I reach out to Carlo. So anyway, I started following Carlo, and I think I did a few of his meditations, and we didn't really message each other that much. But a couple of days ago, Carlo had come up to, he messaged me saying that he was coming up to do an event on the Gold Coast with one of his businesses, SALA Wellness. And he said, "Oi, let's catch up." So before the event on Saturday, the event was on Sunday, but on Saturday he arrived and we met for the first time in person in a sauna. So it was quite a funny meeting place. But anyway, Carlo, welcome to the show.
Mate, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome.
I've seen you more in the past 3 days than I've seen a lot of people close to me in the whole year.
Yeah. So. How funny is that? That's so funny. You forgot what your girlfriend looks like.
Yeah, no. Who?
But, mate, welcome to the show. And would you like to just give a little bit of an introduction? Because you do quite a few things. You're not just a mentor or a coach. You wear like a lot of hats. You've got a lot of side things going with your business. So I would love for you to just go and explain, who you are and what you do in this world.
Yeah, this is always the fun one because it's like I'm always interviewing other people, so I never have to share. And then when I get on stage, I'm like, oh, damn. I haven't got my 10 minutes sort of pre-packaged for everyone. But thanks for having me. It was great to meet you in the sauna.
Welcome,
I think that definitely describes the type of person that I am, of just like, I just want to see people half naked and no, I'm open. Like I'm curious on meeting people. When I meet people that are, or see people online that are inspiring, I want to reach out. I want to connect. Connection's one of my most important values. So for me, you meet me at a really interesting spot in my life. Right now, I am a results mentor. So mentoring people through, creating the life they want to live and getting the results they want. Through that, everything's going through a rebrand at the moment. So hopefully when you're listening to this, it's pretty much announced into the Inspired HQ. So all of my things now that were also separate all come under the one banner. And like I said before, you're inspiring, your story's inspiring. That's why I connected with you. And I felt like we're on this similar journey, but it was super inspiring to watch. That is what lights me up, is inspiration. And I've always gravitated towards inspiring people, inspiring events, inspiring books. So I was like, well, everything I talk about on my podcast is inspiration. So I might as well just brand everything inspiration. So my 2-day event, which used to be an 8-week program, which 300 people have come through, that's now the Inspired Life Blueprint. The Inspired Live, Feel, Be Inspired podcast. I haven't officially put it out there yet, so I'm still getting used to the name because the old names kick in. And running SALA Wellness as well. So I always do lots of things. We were talking about our human design yesterday and the day before. Manifesting generator. I'm here to do lots of things. I've never been someone that could sit and do one thing. I think the important parts of my life were I spent 20 years playing a sport I loved, and that was soccer. And I was really good at it, apparently. I played for my state. I played for Australia. I got to travel the world doing it. I even played semi-pro in Europe for 2.5 years. Now, as much as that's amazing, beautiful, fun, inspiring, and that was my dream at the time, was to make it pro, play for Australia on a senior level and all those things and win all the trophies, which I kind of did. I never quite made it, and I gave up at that point when I was over there for a lot of different reasons. But I think the main two for me was, one, I didn't believe in myself, and I always had so much doubt and pressure that I put on myself to try and be perfect and try and be the best at everything. That always let me down, because there's always a player that's better than you. There's always something else you could have done on the pitch, but I was just so hard on myself, and that kept me back from playing and being in flow and doing the best I could. And secondly was my heart just wasn't in it. I loved it. I was so passionate about it. Like you'd always see me talking about soccer, wearing a soccer jersey or kicking a ball. And I've been doing that my whole life. But when I was over there and I was looking at the lifestyle and some of my housemates that were also Aussies that have now playing in like the Championship or the Premier League, I was like, I don't think I want that life, and this isn't actually fulfilling to me. And I knew there was always something. And at that point in my life, I kind of finished year 12. It was like a year 12 equivalent. I didn't go to uni because I wanted to do so many different things, but business always interested me, and that's why I've had 30 different jobs in my life, and I was just curious on trying things. Now, everyone said that that's wrong. You should have just stayed in soccer, or you should just get one job. Like my mum's was always like, just do one thing and stay with it for a couple of years, or go back. Do you have a plan B, like something you want to go study? And I'm like, no, like I'm living not day to day, but I'm like, I've got this no commitment to anything. And because with soccer, you're moving towards that next game, that next goal, that next season. You are pretty focused and on track. But for me, it was like, I don't know. I haven't found that thing yet. At 18, I fell into personal development, read my first Tony Robbins book. We were connecting over that.
Shout out, Tony. Love him.
Shout out. The big man, the OG. And that ignited this passion for just wanting to develop and grow and become the best I could be and create the life that I wanted to live. That allowed me to fall into network marketing at the time, have mentors at the time, and just be around personal growth, trying to achieve goals and all that sort of stuff. Probably down the sort of toxic way of like egotistical, make money. If you don't, then you're worthless. If you work a job, then you're doing something wrong and all of that. But anyway, learnt my lesson in that. But over the span of like 21 since I came home from Europe, and now being 28, I was like, I just want to help people in whatever way that I can. I want to add value to the marketplace, and I want to make an impact. And I did that through multiple different businesses. Some went really well, some failed horribly and I'm still paying for. No, they've been paid off. And some we ended up selling off as well. Yeah. Learnt my lessons. It was physical products, there was services, there was B2B, there was B2C. And all of that just taught me that there was one thing that always fell true, was I'm inspired by helping people. And that's what landed me at a rock bottom moment in my life where Adriana, one of your friends as well, was there to support me and was just like, you need to come to this event. And I went to that event and I seen people speaking on stage, but people there were like me, but also those people on stage, I was like, I could be doing that. Like I know these things. And that kind of clicked something within me that was like, I want to speak on stages. I want to run programs. I want to coach. I want to mentor, because I know that there's something that I have to share and that I've been through that I know a lot of people have as well, whether it was not feeling or not loving who I was and not loving the life I was living, but then taking myself from that place into a place of I do accept and love myself, and I have created a life that I love, and I know that I can help other people do that too. So that just began that journey of just going all in on that, and that was starting a podcast, which was the Conscious Podcast at the time.
Yeah.
Starting a community, running retreats, running events, and that was going really well. And then obviously a big event happened over the past 2 years, and that kind of halted things, put everything online, and then that business went under, and we had to close that company. And then for the past 12 months, I've been starting again and trying to find my feet. And, you know, for me, it was so beautiful that I had great people around me that took me under their wing, my brothers now, Dan and Steve, and we just created a community called Like Minded, where we just wanted to help each other succeed in life, in relationships, in business. And that has then led me to the point right now where SALA, the wellness app, the mindfulness app has been launched. It's about to go, but to have our first retreat in Bali over New Year's, and expand into the international market. And then also with Inspired HQ, that's also, you know, about to launch. Hopefully when this comes out, it'll be launched. And, you know, my book's being written should come out early next year. The new podcast, the merch range, the events, the live shows, all that sort of stuff. So it's a whirlwind, and I've left out so much.
Yeah.
But it has brought me to the point where I do what I love and I love what I do. And it has not been easy at all. It's been fucking hard and challenging, and I've had to go through the shit to get here. But it has all been so worth it to be able to be sitting here right now, having this conversation with you, connecting with you, but also with everyone else that I've been connecting with over today. One person was someone that I connected with randomly at a low point in my life and just interviewed her on my podcast. The conversation before that was someone that came into my program and one-on-one mentoring 2 years ago, and now to see her thriving and doing what she loves is like, what a full circle of just me living in inspiration and an inspired life, what that has created for me.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful. I love that. And I'm curious to know, so you've got programs and you've got events and all that kind of thing. Is there like a pillar of all these things, that's a part of all these things? You know, you mentioned connection and community a few times throughout everything you just said, but is that a part of it? And also, is there something else?
Connection, community, and impact. Like, I know for me personally, I'm here. I've kind of brought it down to three things. Is I'm here to learn through going through the challenging times and experimenting. Yeah. Teach and share, which is through Instagram, podcasts, programs, all of that. And the third part is to heal in whichever ways, whether that's through Reiki and stuff like that, or whether that's just through being a great friend and being there for people. So I feel like within that, I was always like, well, okay, but what ways do I do this? What values are really important to me? And connection was always a huge thing, whether it's being present with someone or connection to ourself, like connection to others, connection to ourself, connection to our purpose, connection to our true and higher self. And then back to, you know, the community side is that I've always loved having people around me. Like, I love the camaraderie of team sports. It was just that I didn't really fit in with those types of guys. And when I created my own community and like opened the doors for other people like me, that feeling of having that many people around you that are like you is like you feel part of a tribe. So for me, if I could create more connection through communities as well and then make an impact on them, I think those three for me is what has been driving everything that I do. So whether it's SALA, there's a community aspect of bringing people together. Workshops like we did yesterday. There's connection. Every modality is connecting you back to yourself. And then impact is then, you know, having that global scale, and the same with Inspired. Like, all of those things fit under those three pillars. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that, man. And this is something we spoke about yesterday in the sauna because, the day before we were also like at the recovery lab, and the lady there that was running it, well, I shouldn't say lady, it sounds like she's old. She's like very young. The young woman there, Maddie, who was running it, she's like, so you guys have never met in person before? And then we're like, nah. And then she's like, and you've spoken on the phone? And we're like, nah. And then she's like, what? Have you voice noted? And we're like, oh, twice. And she's like, yeah, yesterday. And then she's like, oh, good on you guys, you know? And that is so normal now, like for me to meet people on the internet and then catch up with them and feel like
in the sauna,
in the ice baths, half naked. No, just like catch up with them and feel like we've known each other for ages. Yeah. And like, don't get me wrong, that wasn't normal for me back probably 4 years ago before I started looking, into myself and then connecting with myself and then connecting with others. So that is so important, that like connection to self and then connecting with others, because like the best things unfold from that. Like we've hung out 3 days now, and it was on the first day we were like, felt like we've known each other forever. Yeah. And yeah, the connection, I just love that so much. Yeah. Yeah.
And like one of my favorite songs, I'm forgetting who it's by, but it's like depth over distance. Like, can you have depth in something, whether it's your personal relationships, whether it's your job that you're currently working or your business? Can you go deep into that business instead of focusing on it needs to last forever? So I think if we do that, we miss the point of that depth of connection. I hope we are friends for a long time.
Yeah, me too.
But like we can have a lot of depth, and then if I don't see you for the rest of my life, I can always remember this of like, yeah, it was great. We didn't just, have a phone call and just be like, hey, how's the weather up there? Yeah, good. Yeah, no worries. I wouldn't remember that. It wouldn't leave an impact on me. So again, I hope that I get to see you more, and I will.
Yeah.
But like,
yeah, for sure, man, for sure. So, So we've just had this SALA Wellness event. Yeah. So, how long has SALA been around? And would you like to speak into, what SALA is, what it means, and also, what's it here to do, and what plans do you have for it in the future? There's a lot of questions there.
Yeah. So SALA is a wellness and mindfulness app that we launched back in April. And we're still at very beginning stages, but it's quite incredible what, 3-4 months, what a vision that was previously there can be actually like actuated into reality in that time. So for me, look, I just had a passion for sharing. Like all my friends are all healers, do different modalities. I've learned so many. Like I facilitate breath work and ice baths every Sunday at Altona Beach. And I was like, I want more people to access this that can't. Whether there's a distance in there, whether it's money, whether it's time, whatever it may be. Now, my biggest motivation for that is my sister is, mum still working, and she has 4 kids under 10. So she doesn't have time to go to Pilates. She doesn't have time to do all these things. And they're all different ages. And I'm like, I get that. Obviously, I also go, you can always make time. But I also get that when you run businesses and you have kids, you're probably very time strict and you have other priorities in the way. And I was like, well, a lot of these meditations and a lot of these breathwork sessions for a lot of people go for like 30 minutes to an hour. What if they were 5 minutes? What if we could help people get back into alignment and feel good in just 5 to 15 minutes? Something better than nothing. Because I feel like there's so much pressure to, if you're going to meditate, you have to do an hour. Very rarely have I sat there and meditated for an hour, and I've been doing it for like 10 years, right?
Yeah.
But can you do something in your day to set up your day? Maybe it's just 1 page of journaling that takes 1 minute, right? So I was like, well, how about I bring all these modalities I love? Meditation, breath work, movement, so not restrained to one type of movement, but all different types of movement, whatever works for you. But then also sound healing. All of these things that can change and shift your vibration and state and put you in a better state of alignment. So that brings me to the name of SALA. Like a lot of people are like, what does it mean? How did you come up with it? Well, I came up with it just because I was thinking of every other name in the industry. And I was like, it has to be something that disrupts the market and is so different, because like, whether it's inspired or like wellness or something, it's all been taken by everyone. Yeah. So I was watching soccer and I support Liverpool, and one of my favorite players is Mohamed Salah, and I was like, SALA, yeah, I'll just drop the H and SALA. It rings off the tongue really well, and you remember it.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
then like if you look at it in like different terms, I think in Arabic it means like home or like the living room or something like that. And I was like, okay, that sounds cool, but I'll make my own meaning for it. And each letter can have its own title with it. So we kind of came up with soul, alignment, and light activation. And for me, like bringing us back to alignment is what I'm trying to do with everything that I do, especially with these modalities, aligned into the best version of you for the day. And then the activation. So maybe doing a meditation or doing a breath work or spending 5 minutes could ignite a fire that activates you for the day. I know for me, whenever I do any of these things, I'm in a different state to what I was before. It's activating something within me that makes me feel so much better and operate on a higher level. So yeah, bringing all that back in, like the light, the spark, the energy within you, but then also your soul, like which is your true essence, bringing that back in. So then, we launched with, I guess been not so much testing it, but not just testing it. We've put it out there. We've got members from all over the world and teachers from Australia. Now it's about that next phase of growth. We've got some community partner, SALA Wellness, who do retreats all over the world. So now it's like, okay, can we adapt and evolve to meet the demand of the market, but also bring in these powerhouse teachers that I connect with really well to impact people all over the world with wellness, mindfulness, but also in a way that's not done as cheesy as these huge apps out there. Well, it's cheesy, but like stock standard, right? I say powerhouse, but powerhouse in the way of depth and in impact of that person can offer. And there have to be people that I personally connect with and see their true intention. Otherwise, we're just getting a big name in. And I think that's been used in the industry too much. Mine's like, I want you to be able to approach that person, a user, be able to reach out on Instagram and say, hey, like I want some more support, and they'll be there to help. Yeah. Not just a famous person that you're never going to speak to in your life, and they've just got a nice voice. Yeah. So that's kind of my way of being in everyone's pocket, but also sharing that goodness with, all these beautiful people in my life that are so talented. How can I share that with all the amazing people that I know that are looking for that little bit of alignment every day? Yeah, sick, man. So you mentioned a few times there, we, as in there's multiple people. So who have you gone like in partnership with? And also, are they the only practitioners on the app, or are you kind of just getting more practitioners on there so people can have 100 different practitioners? So two parts to that. So I did have some co-creators at the start. I am the sole founder, CEO, director, running all the hats at the moment. Did have some co-creators come in to help. They've since moved on to different roles within SALA, still teachers on the app, but their own businesses as well. So when I say we, it's like all the teachers, but also me and my team of me, but also my guides and my people around me. And I feel like, especially now being so new, the start of the app is all my friends on the app. And look, don't get me wrong. Like I'm happy to keep them because they're so good at what they do. But as I keep meeting people from different places and at different workshops, I'm like, well, we don't want to have hundreds here, but what if we had a good base of a few people in each modality that could offer so many good things to people. But with new connections comes new opportunities. So for me, I'm open to it. I didn't want to go too crazy full on at the start. I was like, keep the close community there. And they've been my close friends for so long. So they offer incredible sessions on the app. And I feel like that's built such a good community and connection with everyone because the users are connecting with them as well, which has been my biggest dream, is that everyone benefits from doing this, from the user, from the teacher, to people that attend the workshops. And that's been the next part is I love running workshops. So we created a 3-hour experience, which is all those modalities in one, plus the theme of the season, which for spring for us, we've just made it up that it's strength. If you look in Ayurveda, it kind of is the strength season. So bringing that in and those teachings to then help people become, in this season, stronger in their mind, their body, their soul. Yeah, I love that. Because that's what I was just going to ask you the next question of, we just did an event and it was an in-person event. So you've got the SALA, you've got the app that people can have in their pocket and, they can do it wherever they want, in a park or in their car before they go to work or at home, etc. But if they want to have that kind of connection
with people, you've also got the in-person events, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your plan moving forwards for the in-person events?
Look, I want to have an in-person workshop every month. So if you think about seasons, like I do look at things holistically. Like, again, we work with Claire, one of my good friends who's an Ayurvedic teacher and Chinese medicine doctor. And we brought in like what's important in those months. Like we really want each season to have a challenge with it. And with that challenge comes, you know, what foods we recommend or what style of movement. And I guess it's bringing us back to our human nature, because when we're in the flow of the seasons, we have to do different things. Like winter, we require different things. Our body requires different things. So when we can do that within these modalities, it's just going to help us get more aligned back into that true nature. So these workshops I have been running. October was a big month because it was like 5 weekends. So I nearly packed out every weekend. But we've been running events in Melbourne, Torquay, Mildura, Adelaide. We just come up to the Gold Coast. My plan is to be at Hobart next week. My plan is to be in every state running a monthly workshop because it all ties back into the theme. And if you come to 3 in the season, so 3 months, each one's going to be different. Still going to be based on the theme, but it's going to have a different flow.
Gotcha.
And I feel like whenever I've been to workshops before or part of communities, there was one workshop and then 3 to 6 months later, there was another workshop and maybe it was exactly the same or it was like completely different. And I'm like, where's the progression in those things? So I wanted something that was regular, but also made a big impact on people when they come there. And as you might have experienced yesterday, like it's a different event. It's very very light in terms of, you know, we don't go too spiritual. We don't go too, you know, forceful on anything. Like the breath work isn't anything crazy that's going to take you into a different dimension. The yoga is very beginner. The connection's very beginner as well. You know, we don't eye gaze for longer than 2 minutes. Could put 10 there, but it might throw a few people off. So the app is for people that are very maybe new to a lot of this stuff, but you can be experienced in it. But also the workshops, I want it to be accessible for so many people. And I think that's the theme with SALA, is accessible for the everyday person. Not too spiritual and woo-woo. I love that stuff. But I think that's a few levels or next level for a lot of people, and it might deter people a lot. So, we've kind of cultivated it based on how can this be an event that's for everyone, but also everyone leaves with a big impact as well. For
sure. And everything you said there, I experienced that yesterday because, it wasn't like super spiritual, although I am, you know, spiritual and I love going real deep on that stuff. But yeah, it was really, really, cruisy. And there was a point actually, because we meditated, and then we journaled and eye gazed, and then we
it was like connection
instead
of journaling.
Yeah, that's right. We didn't journal, we connected, and
we only wrote a letter.
We wrote a letter, that's right. And then we did yoga, and then by the end of that, when we were in like shavasana, for anyone listening that doesn't know what that is, it's just like at the end of yoga that you lie down and you're just in like a real zen state with your eyes closed. And I'm like, I cannot be fucked doing breath work now. Because I was thinking like, I'm going to be like doing the holotropic and I'm going to be like, coughing and spluttering and releasing. Because I did a breath work session a couple of weeks before that, and that I had this huge release. But anyway, it wasn't that, like it was like pretty deep, but not really, really deep. So I got a huge impact out of it myself because when you're in those states, you go to places in your mind that you don't usually think about with your eyes open. Like most people, when they're looking around, like, they can have these thoughts and stuff. But when you have your eyes closed and you use your breathing and stuff and meditate or go into I think it's theta, from breath work, other things come into your awareness that you wouldn't even think about. Like I pretty much built my whole group program from doing meditations. I'm like, I looked at the title and I'm like, I wanted it to be the MindFit experience, and then I wanted MindFit to be an acronym. So it was like mindset and motivation, identify who you are, negative belief reset, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, but what the fuck am I going to write in these? So I just went into meditation.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And then, I did some breathing and stuff, and then I just pressed record on my phone, which goes like from voice to text.
Yeah.
And it literally just flew out of me, and it's amazing what comes out of you instead of trying to like think about it and like have your eyes open and like type it on a computer. It's just, it's amazing. And yesterday was really, really beautiful. Like connecting with a bunch of new people, and like becoming friends with like people on Instagram now. Especially for me, I'm new up here, trying to meet new people and all that kind of thing. So that was amazing for me yesterday. And I highly recommend, if you do see a SALA event, go and see it, because it is, absolutely incredible and life-changing. Like, even though, like Carlo's saying, it's not really, really deep, there is still a life-changing experience in that, or component in that. So yeah, I really, really love it. The next thing is, man, you seem to always pack your events out. And I won't get into too much detail, but one of my things is like, it's like a wounding of mine. It's like, who will come to my event? Who's going to want to come and listen to me? And it's kind of like nobody showed up to my birthday party wound. You know what I mean? So, dude, I'm curious to know, like, how do you get so many people into these events? Are you an extrovert? And do you just know all these people in all these different areas in different places?
Yeah. That's one part of it. I think, like, I've built communities since like 18, right? Network marketing, we were taught to connect. Now, obviously, we were taught to sold, so I burnt a lot of people in that time as well. Like hey, how you doing? And then everyone's like, what do you want? And I was like, oh, do you want to be an entrepreneur? Do you like health and all this sort of stuff? But I learned very quickly that I just love making friends. Now, whether I played for different soccer teams, I made friends. Living overseas, I've still got lots of friends that I talk to. I'm a connector. Like I whether it's connecting to other people or connecting other people together, like I love that feeling. So I think for me, like building, that previous company for 3 years, I built a lot of connections all over Australia. I was running workshops everywhere. They were called Align events, very similar. I've just kind of rebranded, restructured into the SALA workshops. And for me, how do I get people there is like, I've been doing this for a long time. Like even I have to step back and be like, it's been like 4 years, possibly longer. But I remember the days where we used to host the in-person events for network marketing or for other businesses or whatever, had a stall at a market, and no one would show up but my sister and my mum. And that was like disappointing. It was heartbreaking because I'm like, but doesn't everyone see this opportunity that I see?
Yeah.
And I have run events where there's probably 3 people there. And I always remember a mentor at the time being like, don't focus on who's not there. You focus on who's there and you give them the most incredible experience. You go over the top for them because they might then tell 5 of their friends. You just don't know. And I think that's always been a thing where like my mindset is don't focus on the problem, like below the line thinking. Can you become like not be the victim of like, oh, why no people coming? It's like, well, you can go sideways to that and be like, well, call myself out on, did you promote enough? Did you tell enough people? Did you just put one post up and expect everyone to come to you? Like we've all done in coaching, right?
Yeah.
We put it out there and we're like, oh, how come everyone's not inboxing me? Like I thought it just happens overnight. No, I've been showing up consistently. Now, and this is where the whole thing about confidence comes up, where people are like, hey, you're so confident in front of people. We're talking. And it's like, well, my 5 C's to be confident is, number 1, get clarity on what it is you want to do. So for me, it was speaking, running events, right? I wanted them to be at a high level. So then from there is like the courage to actually start, because that stops a lot of people. They go, well, I won't do it because what if it fails and it looks bad on me, or I've got that fear of failure because it'll mean X, Y, Z. Now I had all of those things, but I was like, you know what? If I want to be the next Tony Robbins, I've got to actually start. And I've got to start somewhere. And it's the same as I relate everything back to my soccer career. You don't start at Real Madrid or Liverpool. You've got to start at your local club and you've just got to start kicking the ball.
Yeah.
Even if you don't score a goal and you're really shit, you will get better over time. That leads into, you've got that courage. Now just be consistent. Just show up consistently. An instrument, I'm learning to play the South American flute, right? I watch these people on YouTube and they're like, and I'm like, Mary has a little, like, it's like, I'm like, yeah, that sounds really good. And then I go to an event and I hear like some of the guys at our ceremonies and they're just like, and I'm like, how am I going to get to that point? But it's consistency. That consistency over time will create competency. You will become competent at it. You'll become really good at it, whether it's video editing, learning a new instrument, showing up on social media. The more you do it, the better you're naturally going to get at it. So like whenever I used to speak on stage, I was like uncontrollably shaking, right?
Yeah, right.
And that was normal. And I remember a mentor at the time was like, you might not ever be comfortable on stage, but you learn to be comfortable even in the discomfort. And you learn to be like, this is okay, this isn't wrong. Because after that, you breathe through it. Once you start, that's normally like the hardest part. Like a plane taking off, it's always the most resistance. But then you gain momentum. And through that momentum and that consistency of showing up and being courageous and saying yes to opportunities. I got asked to speak at an event 4 years ago in Byron Bay. It was 2019, so 3 years ago. Next to Denise Duffield-Thomas, next to Nicole Gibson, all these big names that I've been following for ages. And I'm like, what do you see in me? Like, where? But it was a good friend of mine and she's like, no, you can talk about this. You know what? I'm going to put you twice on stage. And I was like, okay. I just said yes.
Yeah.
When I was at an event and I was just sharing my story, which I didn't get to because everyone took up too much time, the people next to me, I was like, I'll go for a short amount of time. And they had like 20 minutes. I had like 3.
Oh.
The chick next to me was like, do you do meditations? And at that time I was like, I'm curious, but I've never done it. I was just like, yes. She's like, can you come in tomorrow and do it? Yes. Yeah. I'll figure it out. It's like, say yes and figure it out. Sell the event and then structure it and figure it out.
Yeah.
And that has led me to speaking on stages. That has led me to being one of the first meditation teachers on the Blue Map, which was really big a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And that's what has gotten me so far. And that competency that you see me at like after a couple of months or trying a couple of times, now I'm confident in what I do. So it's like that showing up and just consistently doing it. Like, is there times where I have those thoughts of like, well, who's going to come to these events? Well, over time, I've learnt to ask, what do people want? I put a lot of polls on my story. Do you prefer this or this? And if majority say this, well, I'm not going to do an event that's the opposite of that.
Right.
I'm going to create exactly what people are needing, but also wanting, but also give them what they need throughout that as well. And I think just over time of doing that consistently, podcasting, it's 160 episodes I'm up to. I've built an audience over that time and then brought that audience, because I love connection and community, brought them into a community where they feel seen and heard and a part of it.
Yeah.
And that's where now, after doing that market research and building that community, I can then offer them, through the things that I love, things that make an impact on their life.
Yeah. And that's really it, it's, building connection and communities.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right. Clarity. Clarity on what you want. This is the 5 C's. Clarity on what you want. Courage to take the first step and do the thing. The next one was consistency. Keep doing it. Keep showing up, like even when you don't want to.
Yeah.
Then it's competence, because the more you do something, the more competent you become.
Yeah.
And then the last C is courage.
Confidence.
Oh, sorry, confidence.
You're then confident at it.
Then you're confident at it.
And relate this to anything in your life. It could be, if you want to have a podcast and speak better, if you want to get better at a skill, or maybe it's even you want better handwriting, right? You've got to be willing to just start.
Yeah.
And I think that's what holds a lot of people back. Like, one, they're not clear on what they want, but then when they are, they don't take that second step of just to have the courage to just do it. Even if you fail, just start.
For sure. And this is a lot of the work that I do also. And the clarity piece, it's like some people don't actually know what they want. So for people that are listening right now and they're like, okay, cool, yeah, that'll build my confidence, but like, how do I find clarity? How would you say the best way to find clarity is?
Get on a call with me. Get
on a clarity call.
Clarity calls with Carlo. Look, for me, it's the quality of your life then comes from the quality of the questions you ask, right? And then the quality of the emotions that you feel most regularly. So for me, it's ask yourself better questions. For the most part, we just sit there and go, oh, it should just be in my head. I should just know these things. Well, if you haven't actually asked the questions, what do I want? And then if you're at that point where you're like, I don't know, what don't you want? That's going to give you somewhat of a clue. If people say, well, I don't want a partner that's angry all the time and blah, blah. I don't want a job that's making me feel exhausted and burnt out. Okay, so what do you want? What is the opposite of that? And that's where I find like people know what they don't want, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's in their life, whether it's in a job, whether it's, I don't want to be in debt. Okay, so what's the opposite of that? And that's for a lot of people. They're like, oh, I've never thought of it like that. And when you look at like, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, one of my favorite books, but one that I read every like start of the year, every year, and just flick through a couple of pages of the whole thing. The first line is, I'm pretty sure it's your thoughts are things. Even if I've misquoted that completely, that's the sort of emphasis of it. Now, your thoughts are things, but also your language are things. So if you're saying, well, I don't want debt, your focus is still on debt.
Yeah.
And that's where I go, where you shift your focus, that's where energy is going to flow. And if you want to be confident in the area, but you're not focusing on that area, you're focusing on your lacks, the things you don't have. And if you're focusing on it and energy's flowing there, of course you're going to stay in that energy. Yeah. Right? At some point, every single person that listens to, I'm sure people listen to your podcast are aware of energy, right? You just manipulate energy.
Yeah.
Like you either get yourself into that vibration of the energy or you manipulate it in your way. We're not manipulating for a bad purpose. We're using it to step towards the things that we want. So ask yourself better questions.
Yeah, 100%. I love that because I'm a big Tony Robbins fan too, and he speaks a lot about if you want a better life, ask better questions. Yeah. Like, yeah, and it is just so fucking true. And that also comes back to creating connection with people, is learning how to ask better questions with others. And I think that has been like huge for me. To connect with other people is being able to learn how to, ask better questions, but also listen. But yeah, you said something else there. I'm trying to remember what it was.
I want to touch on that.
Yes.
Because one of those things that I knew growing up, and especially when I was in my early 20s and dating, was I can actually get closer to what I want by asking a better question. I can almost move through all the noise and get to what I want. So if I go up to you and I ask, hey, what's the directions to this place? You're just going to straight give them to me. But if I go, I can't ask you, I've got to just wander around and look for signs, I'm almost wasting time. I'm a big believer of like, make the most out of life while you're here. I don't know how long it's going to be. So I'm going to go, this is why I pack out my weekends and have a lot of fun. So when I was dating, the first question I would ask on Tinder or on these apps was, what are you grateful for? And if I got an answer that was, nothing. Yeah. This is too much work.
Well, that's a weird question to ask.
Yeah, that's too much effort for me, right? Yeah. I was like, you're at a point where I'd have to, this is a lot of work. Yeah. Whereas if someone responded back and I'd watch what their response was, now there's no right or wrong here, but I'd see how someone would respond because it would show me their mindset. If someone said nothing, if someone was like, I'm grateful to be alive, I'm grateful for the beautiful people in my life, or I'm grateful for, when people are like, I don't know, it was like, okay, there's nothing wrong there. Yeah. But if someone was really in that energy, I'd be like, awesome. Yeah. Next question, ready to go. What are you passionate about?
Yeah.
What are your values? Like, okay, we're going pretty deep in there, but like that's always been everything for me is depth over distance. It's why when I met my partner Georgia, it just flowed from there. We met once and then we didn't stop talking ever since. And that was from asking those questions of like, what's most important to you in life, and getting clarity on what was meaningful to them, and also that like for me to then find what are their values and do we align. I can do that a lot easier through Instagram and Facebook because I can see how you live your life. And then that allows me to have more confidence in who you are and feel connected to you before I even meet you.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for touching on that bit. And that's so, that's so true.
Everyone's going to be dropping those lines in their dating.
They are now, yeah.
Do it.
So, stop asking what they do for work and ask what they're grateful for. Because you want to go deep. And that's the thing, like Carlo just said, there's no right or wrong. It's just what it is for you, right? You wanted to know, how do they live their life? What is their mindset like? Yeah. So you ask the question, and then the response you got is going to give you an answer of like, okay, do I want to further the conversation with these people, or do I go to the next person? Yeah. So, awesome, brother. Well, I know you've got to get to the airport and catch a plane. So we're going to wrap this up, mate. But before we do, I would love to know how people can get in contact with you and what offerings do you have for them, and how can they work with you, and what ways can they do that, etc.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, everything's on the gram, so touch with the gram stays around for a long time.
Yeah.
Carlo_Cirillo, Cirillo, not Cirillo, but anyway, you can spell it however you want. No, spell it right. Say it however you want. I'm sure you'll provide show notes and stuff
I'll put
like
it all
that.
in
If
the
you
show
put
notes.
Carlo Cirillo on Instagram, there's a few of us. There's a serial killer that's Carlo Cirillo, but that's not me.
He shouldn't be out in the world.
No, you'll see me smiling, laughing, and sharing. Like all my content, I post like 3-4 times a day on there. I love sharing. I love being open, vulnerable, all of that. In there is all the links to everything. There's a link there that has all my events, everything, products, sponsors, all that sort of stuff. But then also in the bio, there'll be the Inspired HQ, where you can check out the podcast and all the events and stuff with Inspired, which is my programs, my results coaching and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's SALA in that bio as well, SALA_Wellness. And that'll have the app. You'll have a link in there to download the app and start aligning yourself with goodness every single day, just at the touch of your fingertips. And other than that, if you don't have social media for whatever reason, which I know there's a thing, www.carlocirillo.com, and you can access everything through there.
Beautiful, man. Well, thanks for taking the time and coming on the show. And appreciate you, man.
Thanks for having me. This won't be the last time.
We'll do another one.
And also, come check out my podcast with Ant on my podcast. My episode with Ant on my podcast.
That's it. So I don't know whose will be up first, but either way, follow Think, Feel, Be Inspired. Is that it?
Live, feel, be inspired.
Live, Feel, Be Inspired.
The Inspired HQ. That'll have everything. Yeah.
Love it. Beautiful. Well, thanks, man. And that's a wrap.
Much love, brother. Thank you.
Welcome.
You.
I hope you enjoyed the episode, guys. It was super fun to record it and do it in person and everything like that. So I hope you enjoyed it as well. If you want to join my 21-day Inspired Action Challenge, like I said at the start, it's going to be about helping you get clarity on exactly what you want and overcome that resistance that's stopping you from doing the things that you really want to do in life, and also teaching you how to take that inspired action, and you get to receive that support and accountability from me by asking the questions and then me answering them on the Facebook Lives. So if that's something you would love to join, guys, click the link in the description box or the show notes, and I look forward to seeing you in the group. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Ant Marino podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. If anything resonated for you in this episode, the best way you can support the show is by subscribing to the podcast wherever you're watching or listening to it, and also give it a 5-star review and give it a like if you're watching it on YouTube, and also please share it out on social media, tag me in it, and I'll happily reshare it. And also share it with your friends and family. This helps get it into more people's ear holes and eye holes, and we can slowly start to change people's lives for the better together. So thanks again for tuning in. Love your faces and have a great day.